What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man. I'm gonna talk about. I'm talking to. I guess this could be boxing channels from the UK and from the United States that keep trying to push this thing where this Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder narrative that this debate about who's ducking out of this fight and the reason that this bout didn't happen is anybody other than Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn. I mean, this is the message to you. You guys got to stop. You've lost. It's over with. The referee, you've been hit with 10, 11 straight bombs, right hooks, uppercuts. You can't defend yourself. The ref is grabbing you and waving his hands off, calling for the ring doctor, trying to pull out some smelling salts on you. It's over with. No reasonable person is believing what you're selling. You are now stuck on the last line of defense. Sign the contract. Sign the contract. Sign the contract. Look, without even getting into the subject matter of sign the contract that isn't for the next fight, sign the contract for a fight 10 months away from now. Oh, and Deontay Wilder's ducking Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's ducking Anthony Joshua 10 months from now. That's what you're left with. Deontay Wilder's ducking Anthony Joshua 10 months from now. Is Deontay Wilder going to be fighting Anthony Joshua next? No. But Deontay Wilder is ducking him the fight after next. That's what you're left with. You got to stop. That's just, without even getting into that, look, I promise you, I have a boxing channel. Many of you guys have boxing channels. There has been such a change in the tide of what people believe and the recognition of people as far as what's going on in both the United States and the UK that really, when you try to stand up for this foolishness, you really are just tearing at your own credibility. At this point, for somebody like me, and I will tell you, and I'm being honest, you can check my record on this. I was somebody that started off this conversation well before, probably in May of last year. If you had asked me who was my favorite heavyweight, I would have had to say probably Anthony Joshua, because I was not a Deontay Wilder fan. I absolutely positively was not a Deontay Wilder fan. And it didn't have anything to do with what he did in the ring or didn't do in the ring. I could see that he was knocking people out, but he had a beef with Mike Tyson. So I'm really big on respecting your elders, and I really didn't like the tone of the argument that was going on between him and Mike Tyson. So I was kind of like, and I also kind of thought of Deontay Wilder as like a Bryant Jennings and God, what's the name of the other guy's name that got knocked out? Seth Mitchell. You know, this movement towards having ex-football players and ex-basketball players taking part in boxing, right? And I knew he was getting a lot of knockouts and stuff, but I wasn't really paying attention that closely, like many of you guys accuse Deontay Wilder fans of being, right? Recent Deontay Wilder fans. And I'll admit, I'm one of those. I'm somebody that really started paying attention to Deontay Wilder maybe about 2 years ago. And so I was very not in love with Anthony Joshua, but I felt I liked him and I liked what he was about. I liked the way that he spoke. I loved that bout with I had watched his fights. I enjoyed the Vladimir Klitschko bout a lot. I did a video about it and was like, wow, man, the UK is really on the rise. I was really happy about UK boxing. 1 year later, that's all fallen apart. And it's all fallen apart off of what Anthony Joshua has said. Not necessarily what Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn's a promoter, and him lying and be consistently lying, he's on another level now from other guys. But Anthony Joshua and the things that Anthony Joshua has done, along with Eddie Hearn, have completely turned me against him as far as somebody that I would respect outside the ring and what I thought he was bringing to the table in as a champion, starting right before the Joseph Parker bout, and starting when I really started listening to Eddie Hearn. But without going through all of that stuff into the negotiations of what's going on with Wilder and who was the fight and all this, look, there's no reasonable person anymore that's believing that the holdup for this fight is Deontay Wilder. And I'm not, clearly, if you still believe that's the case, there is no convincing you otherwise. But I will just tell you, similarly to you, I would be talking to somebody who, might be going through an episode, right? Might be, might be delusional. I mean, I hate to steal, Eddie Hearn's, word of the day, right? That and jealous. Your reality, your viewpoint of reality is really not together. You know what I mean? I know you might think you're walking down the street and you think you see that purple elephant, and that purple elephant looks very real to you. I'm here to tell you that purple elephant is not real. Okay? You need to go to the hospital. You might need to detox whatever it is that you've been drinking, whatever it is that you've been smoking. You need to detox. You need a break. You need to sit back, relax, slow down, and let your mind get back together so you can get a real view of what the real circumstance is. And here is what the real circumstance is. The vast majority of people that are familiar with this circumstance do not believe Anthony Joshua. The most you can get is some people who are riding the fence and don't want to point fingers at either guy. And I really do believe that's because they started in the Anthony Joshua camp real strong. But once he did so many things that pointed to the fact that he didn't want it, and they had so many contradictory statements given out by Eddie Hearn, that they eventually had to leave the Anthony Joshua camp. And they might not be willing to join the Deontay Wilder camp, but that doesn't matter for Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua has literally talked his way out of potential superstardom. He's talked his way out of it. It's not something that happened in a ring. It's something that happened with his mouth. And it's something that happened with his actions along with Eddie Hearn's actions. And there's no coming back from that. There's no coming back from people like Steven Espinoza calling your promoter and calling you a liar. Shelley Finkel calling you a liar. Newspapers that have printed, not newspapers, but websites that clearly have you saying one thing, put you on the record saying one thing, and then you turn around and say something else and they printed the same thing. That's not going to go away. Boxing Scene is not going to purge the records of all the stories that they printed. Okay, IFL can't take those words back from you. Anybody that wants to spend 30 minutes looking up the subject or look at the videos which have been summarizing that for months now will point that out to you. U.S. boxing fans, avid boxing fans in the United States, the most you can hope for them is for them to be neutral on you. But it is obvious that Anthony Joshua did not want that fight, and for you guys to continue to push that line really does make it look as if you are dishonest, that you're as dishonest as Eddie Hearn is. And I'm saying this to channels who I've liked and I've been subscribed to for years. Look, when you're wrong, you're wrong. Don't continue to go with it. In this video, I'm not debating the rightness or the wrongness of it. That has already been concluded. That was already done. It was done a long time ago, but it just got more and more reestablished, more and more proven. For me, it was done when Anthony Joshua wouldn't let Deontay Wilder in the boxing ring with him. and said he didn't want to hype the fight. That was the first. That was enough for me there. That was enough for me. It should have been enough for you there. But then he doubled down and said, well, maybe I'll freeze somebody out. Maybe I'll freeze Deontay Wilder out. But you still rode with him. You rode with him after he wouldn't let him in the ring. Then you rode with him after he said that he might freeze him out. Then you rolled with him after he said that he'd take $50 million and the $50 million was offered and he didn't take that. And now you're going to ride with him when Eddie Hearn puts out this phony 24-hour end deadline from the WBA that passed 2 weeks ago, and you're still riding with him? You are on a sunken ship. The best you can do is just admit it. Admit it. These guys are he's dishonest, and he really is doing everything he can to make this fight not happen. He never wanted the fight. And walk away from it and go do Josh Taylor videos. Do Josh Taylor videos. Do something else. Cover some American fighters that you like, right? Cover Terrence Crawford, cover Errol Spence. Do something like that. But it's time to stay away from the Deontay. It's time to stay away from Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is going to drag you down with him. It's my personal belief that Anthony Joshua is not taking this fight because Anthony Joshua doesn't think he can win it. And we can say he's not afraid, he's not this, he's not. I have no idea what he is. Maybe he's not afraid. But he's not being honest either. When he put out that Instagram just hanging around waiting on a signature, that's double talk. You're waiting on a signature from whom? Alexander Povetkin, the one you've been waiting on since the WBA said you had 24 hours to get that deal done. Now, here's the other thing, too. You're going to, I'm sure, try to go and, try to get into the finest detail of it, right? Right? That's what double talk is. It's a type of double talk. It's purposely ambiguous so that you can take one meaning or the other. When Shelly Finkel can go right down the timeline in a conversation with Fight Hype, like he did last night, or I think it was yesterday, when he can go down, and Fight Hype wasn't being particularly friendly to him, was trying to quiz him, grilling him a little bit. When he can spit that out and not make a single contradiction, the same way, and answer questions about things that happened 6 months ago, just like they happened yesterday, that's because it doesn't take any energy or extra thought to tell the truth. But Eddie Hearn, you can ask him about something he said last week and he'll mix it up because it's really hard to keep track of a lie. But for the sake of the people, for the boxing commentators that get on, that are in the comment section, okay, get in the comment section, say what you want to say, whatever. I'm quite sure you're not listening to the video anyway. You're reading the title and you're reacting. A lot of people do that. That's cool. I understand when you do it because most times it's evident from your comment that you didn't listen to the video because you say something that's addressed in the video. But for the people that are making the channels, for the people that are pushing this stuff, I mean, United States guys as well. I had a guy that we got a different view on a lot of things, but I respect him, came to the chat. It was time to stop. It's time to stop. There's literally there's literally no defense at this point. And again, like the analogy I used before, the ref is waving it off, man. Okay? The argument that Anthony Joshua is really trying to make, if one guy in the ring is an argument, and that argument's name is Anthony Joshua wants to make the fight, and the other one is the other guy in the ring is Deontay Wilder wants to make the fight. Let me tell you, Anthony Joshua has been beaten up so bad that he's got both eyes swole. He's not thrown a punch in the last 2 minutes of the round. He's got knocked down 4 times. It's clear he's got a broken jaw. He's completely out of it. And if they don't stop this fight soon, that they're, the ambulance is revving outside. They got the stretcher ready for him. Okay? Throw in the towel, man. Just throw in the towel. For some reason, the ref won't stop it, but throw in the towel, man. Throw your towel in on that argument because it's done. And then maybe you can move on to the next. If the fight actually happens, you might have a reprieve later on and be able to say, hey, maybe we can win the argument about who will win the fight. Right? Because we can argue about that then. But I want to be very clear that who wins the ultimate fight has nothing to do with what's been going on here. What's going on here is who's ducking. Who's the reason that this bout's not happening? Who's trying to milk the boxing fans out of money? And that by setting up fights that they can win and trying to stretch this thing out as far as they possibly can. And that's Anthony Joshua. And also, this conversation is about who's honest and who's dishonest. I've been watching to try to catch Deontay Wilder and Shelly Finkel in inconsistencies. And I've not caught it. I've caught clarifications from Shelly Finkel, where Shelly Finkel said, let me be clear. I did send the contract back with 2 more questions. If you send it back, then and I get the clarifications, then we can proceed. Which was slightly different than something that Deontay Wilder said, which was he was ready to sign the contract. But Shelly Finkel never contradicted himself, and Deontay Wilder never contradicted himself. Anthony Joshua said he would take $50 million and didn't take it. And that right there was the knockout blow. In this setup, that was a knockout. When he didn't take $50 million guaranteed with that lame, there is no excuse that's not lame for that. It was over with. And it's time for you guys to stop and just go on, man. Just throw in the towel, walk away. And wait for maybe later on you guys can have a chance to come back and, regain credibility. But there are some guys out there, I'm telling you, I've been fans of you guys for a while, long before I had a channel. You got to stop. You got to stop. Nobody believes you. Okay? Nobody but some casual fans that some AJ fanatics, right, that just subscribe to your channel. And as soon as AJ goes away, they're not coming back because they're not boxing fans. But in the meantime, you've lost the respect of people that have been subscribed to you for years. Unnecessarily, man. Completely unnecessarily. Anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.